Hello, it's been a big week for Forest. How nailed on are they for the Champions League after their win over Manchester City? Disgraceful, amateur, dreadful. That's the management's view of Mansfield Town's latest defeat. And what will David McGoldrick's return mean for Notts County's promotion chances? He was back on the score sheet last night. I'm Mark Shardlow and welcome along to Team Talk. So hello there, thank you for watching, whether on Notts TV or on YouTube. A lot to get in today. First, my regular sidekick, Charlie McParland, is one of our guests. He's coached at Forest, Notts and Mansfield. Charlie, still on crutches, but you're recovering well?
I'm getting there, aye.
That's
People might not say that, like, but I'm saying it.
Yeah, you can say that. We've also got former Forest and Stags defender James Perch with us too. James, great to have you back in the studio. It's
great
been
to
a
be
few
back.
weeks.
Yeah, been a few weeks, but good to be back.
You've seen a lot of Forest this year. You worked for the BBC, covering that.
Yeah, doing the commentary for that and going down to watch them when my lad gets the ticket for the academy here. So I've seen a lot of them this year.
Yeah, and you were there at the weekend?
There at the weekend, yeah.
I mean, what an atmosphere!
Oh, it's
first
great,
of all.
Great, superb atmosphere. It's been like that all season really, but Saturday was special, yeah.
Special day, right. What does that huge win at the City Ground mean for Forest? The Reds faced champions Manchester City in Saturday's lunchtime kickoff in the sunshine and won a 1-0 game through a late goal by Callum Hudson-Odoi. He drove past Edison with less than 10 minutes to go after picking up the ball from a sweet crossfield pass by Morgan Gibbs-White. But after the game, it wasn't the attack just being celebrated by head coach Nuno Espirito Santo. It was also full of praise for the way his side defended.
Yeah, it was hard work. It was tough. You can see how good City are. Very difficult to control them, but I think the boys did well. Didn't allow too many situations. Always going to be chances for City, but defensively, really good. There's no other way. There's no other way. In football, you have to work hard. You have to balance the spaces, but at the same time, realizing when you defend, you always have a chance to recover the ball in attack. But if you tell me, really good defensively, really good. It's not about City Arsenal, it's game by game now. It's Ipswich, it's going to be even harder, we know that, and we have to be ready. Now it's about recovering, analysing the game and prepare the boys again.
Well, I mean, I thought it was pretty much an exemplary performance. It was classic Nuno, how Forest have been at their best this season, I think.
Yeah, I think he's based his team around the defensive unit and how they defend, keeping clean sheets. And Murillo and Milenkovic at the back were superb. At right back and Nico Williams at left back were great, and they kept Man City out and looked pretty comfortable, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought I was going to see more from Manchester City, but that first half set the tone, I think, for the game.
Well, Forest were excellent. The Oleana Doku, who's destroyed some people this season, never got a kick. Oleana never give him a kick. He says, come on, try and beat me. Couldn't beat him. Forest, again, defensively, fantastic. Forest is not built on sand this season. They've got solid structure with that back four, starting with the goalie, Murillo and Milenkovic. Good defenders. They've got flair players in Elliot Anderson, Gibbs-White. And they've got the talisman for the season, Chris Woods, who's got 18 Premier League goals. Absolutely brilliant. They've got the two wide players who join in and do their bit. Again, nice diagonal pass. I love a diagonal pass to Hudson-Odoi. Normally he cuts in on the left on his right and bends it in, but he was on the right side. Manchester City goalkeeper will be still thinking about that and having nightmares about getting beat at the near post. But who cares? 1-0, scoring in the last 10 minutes. Because everybody was looking at this game. If we lose it, we can go into 5th position. Yeah. What's going to happen? Yep. But hey, credit to Nottingham Forest, to the manager and to the players. And regarding the supporters, I think all season, when I've been down, like, and some of the players are giving them something to cheer about, and they're getting right behind them.
And it was hard to believe, really, thinking like this time last year we were talking about relegation and Luton. This was Manchester City with Mamouche on the bench and Grealish on the bench, De Bruyne on the bench, Gunnahan on the bench, Lewis on the bench, and Forest beat them fairly and squarely.
Yeah, team littered with superstars in Man City. But Forest, what I like about Forest is when I've watched them, you can see they've been really well coached. And as a former player, watching a team do what they've been taught on the training ground is brilliant. And you can see Nuno's just worked with them so hard this season, and the players have took it all on board. And when you see it coming to fruition like it is doing, it's a pleasant sight to see.
Yes, we've talked on here about the mental exhaustion that they must have sticking to a plan, and especially when you're conceding possession, you've got to be on it mentally and physically throughout the 90 plus minutes. And I suppose coming into this game, there've been one or two little wobbles along the way, and that's why it felt such an important game for Forest. But they really did stick to their task. Every player knew what they were doing, and they did it 100%.
Listen, Nottingham Forest, throughout the season, it doesn't matter who you are. If Manchester City can have a wobble, I'm sure Nottingham Forest, and you're going to have a wobble throughout the season.
Yeah.
You can't be, and Forest have been outstanding. And there's been maybe four games where you think, oh, they weren't quite at it today. And that's going to happen. But this was a massive game because of the previous results of a wee sticky patch. And they came up with the goods. And James just touched on something there. You can sit in the stand and you can watch a team play and you know what the manager's been working on throughout the week and throughout the season. And that's credit to the manager, his coaching staff and the players. And the players have bought into it because it's been successful.
Yeah.
And what they've got in that team, they've got energy in the wide positions. Sometimes they don't like running back the way too quick, but they love running forward.
Well, they did that. They did that on Saturday.
Yes,
they did
credit.
on Saturday,
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you've got Elliot Anderson, full of energy.
Yeah.
What a player. Gibbs White, full of energy. Dominguez, full of energy. Danilo, full of energy. Ryan Yates, when he comes on the pitch, full of energy. So you've energy, energy, and they all know what they're doing in their jobs.
But the thing is also, whilst the Forest team and players know what they're doing, surely Manchester City and Pep know exactly what Forest are going to do on Saturday. There's no surprises there. Yet week after week, teams fall down.
It's so hard to play against the low block with the pace that they've got on the counter-attack. Man City are always going to play like that, whether they've played against Forest or whether they've played against Arsenal. They're always going to have possession of the ball and try and overload on the wide areas. But Forest has dealt with it so well. Forest have got a way of playing that's hard to play against. And when you've got that pace in the wide areas and Chris Wood as a vocal point, it's pretty tough to stop because you're committing so many bodies forward trying to get that goal that when you do get caught on the counter, you've got Gibbs White who's got pace, Elliot Anderson's got pace, two wide men have got pace.
Two fullbacks have got pace.
Two fullbacks have got pace.
Yeah.
So
there could be 1v1s.
Teams are committing players to try and score against a solid defence, but they know at the same time that they're going to get done on the counter, and there's nothing they can. It's hard to stop it.
You mentioned it earlier. I thought, what a sensational ball from Morgan Gibbs White to set up the goal and just perfection.
Listen, I'm not being put in bit. It was a good diagonal pass. I think if you're a professional footballer, you should be able to hit that pass.
Right.
Listen, I love a diagonal pass. I think it's one of the best passes because diagonal switches play. It gets you 1v1, which it did, and they got the goal. But I think if you're a Premier League player and you can't hit a 40-yard diagonal pass, you shouldn't be playing in the Premier League. But well done, Morgan Gibbs White. It was a good pass.
I like to take it back even further. I like to say because Oloreno actually won the ball. They were on the counter, and he come and won the ball. He's not getting enough credit for what he did in part of that goal. He gave the ball to Gibbs White and he switched it well. But
James has hit the nail right in the head there.
Yeah.
Oloreno's won it, unsung hero.
Yeah.
Hit them on the counter-attack, bang. Diagonal pass on a counter-attack is great, bang. Goalkeeper gets done at the near, but who cares?
And what about international call-ups in England? They were playing against a team with Phil Foden and Jack Grealish in their squad there. Where do Gibbs White, where do Anderson, does even Aina fit in an England squad under Thomas Tuchel?
I think Gibbs White's there or thereabouts at the minute, isn't he? He's been in the last couple of squads. Anderson, I think he'll be close because he's playing very well. I like him. I like how he he goes and collects the ball from the back four and he can still drive forward. He does a bit more than Gibbs White for me.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to add a couple of goals to his game. I think he'll be knocking on the door for England. Aina, is he?
He's not.
He's not eligible.
He's international.
Yeah, he's international. Yeah. So they're littered now with international players, which is only a good thing for Forest.
I think Anderson, he's got a few rough edges on his game. I'm just nitpicking in detail like Gibbs White is, but I think Elliot Anderson, he takes him a little bit rough edges off. I think he's an absolute fantastic footballer. He wins tackles.
Yeah.
He breaks things up. He runs forward. He runs back. He gets close to people. He sees a pass, and I think what a signing. And the Newcastle fans, they must be thinking to themselves, and this is where football's all wrong. This young lad's been brought up at Newcastle since he's a little kiddie. And because of PSR, they've had to sell that young kid who dreamt about playing for his club, right? Newcastle United. And he's come, and I'm glad he's come to Nottingham Forest because he's been a revelation and his games went to another level.
Well, I spoke to him. Obviously, I played for Newcastle, and so he was a young boy when I was there. And I don't think he'd mind me saying he didn't want to leave Newcastle. He's a Newcastle boy playing in the Newcastle first team. He didn't want to leave, but like you said, Charles, PSR forced Newcastle to sell. I think it's scandalous.
It's scandalous.
Yeah.
So they've not sold them because they want to sell them.
They just have
financially.
To. Yeah. Okay. That's all for this part. After the break, we've got more Forest chat, and we're also looking at how likely promotion is too for the Reds women. They're now 2 points clear at the top of the table with the game in hand. We'll discuss all of that after this break. Hello and welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined by Charlie McFarland and James Perch. We're still talking about one of James's former side, Nottingham Forest, and Champions League. I guess what a result at the weekend when it comes to like trying to work out, is it going to be Champions League? It looks like 5th position will be good enough this season. It's touching distance, is it?
I've never counted my chickens.
Yeah.
I always I don't get complacent because the next game coming up, Ipswich, is the most important game now. They've beat Man City, the mighty Man City at the City Ground. They're going down to a team who cannot win a game to save their life, but they're always in football matches, Ipswich. Yeah. You know, they're more or less always in. So this is the next important one. But at the minute, they're all playing each other, so everybody will be dropping points. And it's there for them.
Well, let's have a look at the table because it is that time of the season, isn't it, when we're getting down to the last 10, and the gap. I suppose Newcastle. We're looking at Newcastle, are we? Or Man City, 47 points. Still only 4 points, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, we could have done when West Ham beating Newcastle on Monday night, but since Potter took over, they've not won many football matches.
Yeah. And
they nicked a 1-0. If they had lost that, I'm thinking like that's because they've got a game in hand, Newcastle, and they're not a bad side. It's going to be tight. It's
tight,
but it's tight.
5 wins out of 10. You're looking for more than that.
Yeah,
that might do it.
Yeah, might do it.
5,
6, because they're all beating each other.
Yeah,
they're going to take points off each other. They're all playing each other.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've said it all season, Forest at it on their day. Yeah. You know, they can, because I think everybody was fancying Man City to beat Forest on Saturday. Yeah. And they didn't after the previous run of Forest, which wasn't the best of the season. And they went and got the business done. Get the business done on Saturday. See where they are after Saturday. Again, it's all, that old cliche, take every game as it comes. Don't get complacent. That's the thing.
Yeah, would that be your
message? And I don't think Nuno will be letting them get complacent.
But surely Europe now, at least Europa League, surely now.
They'll be in some European place. I said that a couple of weeks ago.
But I wonder, would you be disappointed now, having come so far, if Forest aren't in the Champions League next season?
That's what I was going to say. I think because they've come so close and they've been in the Champions League spots all season that if they do drop out, I don't want people to feel disappointed that they've not got into the Champions League, because being in Europe from where they were last season is still a great achievement. So I'd look at any sort of European football as a great success. Obviously, the Champions League's the best competition there is, but if they were to fall out, which I don't think they will, but if they were, I wouldn't want everyone to be like, oh, it's been a disappointing season, because it hasn't.
And when you're in a position like that, does pressure change on the squad? Do dynamics change at all as you get towards the goal, the sort of finishing line?
I think it could do to some clubs, but the way Forest are approaching every game, I think they just take it in the stride. I just think they're enjoying being where they are, and I think that shows when they go out and play on a Saturday. They look like they've got a great camaraderie in the squad, and I think they're just playing each game as it comes and enjoying it, enjoying being there.
I think they're on a roller coaster. I think they love running out of the City ground at the minute.
Yeah.
And those 30,000 Forest fans getting behind them are unbelievable. And again, James says, I'll be disappointed if they don't get Champions League. But then when you put it in perspective and put it in context, if they get in any European, what do you think? Like James says, it's been a great season.
Yeah.
But a great season to an unbelievable season in Champions League.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, got the FA Cup to play for as well.
Yeah, yeah. Easy to forget that bit, isn't it? It really easy to forget that bit.
It's like we said a couple of weeks ago, why not do both?
Yeah. I mean, you were at Villa and you saw Villa's rise, and you know you followed Newcastle as well. And they're two teams that have made Champions League, and sort of just making the Champions League doesn't mean you're getting lots of money coming in. You're getting great players, and both of them seem to struggle a little bit once they made the Champions League.
Well, listen, you're playing against the top boys. You know, it's different. You're having to play on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and you're playing against top opposition. You have to manage the squad. You have to get a right good squad in there. Players.
And that's it. Isn't it? You know, I think Villa had to trade to get numbers in. It's like, how much do you need to trade? How much does it mean Forest have to sacrifice one of the star players to get in half a dozen other players?
Well, you don't need
tough decisions.
But it's not sacrifice. It's getting the right players in, not the numbers. And what you have to try and when you're signing players is, and I keep saying, like, I always look at a player and you want experience.
Yeah.
If you've got a player who's played for 3 years and he's played 75% of the games, that means to me is he doesn't pick up a lot of injuries, and the manager picks him every week. So he's got something about him. So you have to look, do they play regular? And don't get wrong, you might need to play £40 million for a player, but play that money for a player who's regular in the team and not like, oh, he's injured here, he's injured there. Because if you're playing European football during the week, then you're back to the Premier League, which is tough for Saturday. You need players who are going to be fit. And, you know, like, don't get me wrong, you can get injuries, like you can get sort of bad, you know, but not pulled muscles and all that stuff. Players who are resilient and who are up there every week wanting to play and be picked.
How do you see it?
I think it's tough. It's tough, especially going first season in the Champions League if your squad's not ready. Like you said, Villa struggled a little bit. Newcastle struggled a little bit more. I think they didn't have the size of the squad that was needed. We played in Europe when I was at Newcastle, and we struggled massively. I think we nearly got relegated that season because we was playing Thursday, Sunday. It's so hard to get used to if you've not been used to it. The top 4 or 5 clubs in the Premier League that we know, they've been playing Champions League for the last 10, 15 years, so they know what it's all about. When you're fresh into it, it's hard to get used to.
And what was it like being at Newcastle when you made it to Europe?
It's brilliant. Like we saw some great places, visited some great countries. But like I said, we're playing in Russia on a Thursday night, getting back early morning Friday, having a cool down, and then you training Saturday, still a bit tired, and then you've got a Premier League game on a Sunday. So it was so hard to deal with, but I loved it. I thought it was a great experience.
You when I first came across James when he was 12, right, at Nottingham Forest, and I had a meeting with his mum and dad, and I think in the meeting they says like they were sort of playing on different positions. And James will probably not remember this, and I says, where do you want to play, James? He went, right back. So I says to the league coach there, I says, right, you play James right back from now on.
Yeah.
And then he steadily went through the ranks, and what an unbelievable career. Thinking about him playing for Nottingham Forest first team and moving on to Newcastle and playing in Europe. Unbelievable. Yeah. His mother and father must be so proud of him.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of him as well.
Yeah.
And all these lads that when we worked with at Nottingham Forest, and unbelievable.
Oh, my life, you've found Charlie's heart. I didn't know he had one.
I've got one in there somewhere, Matt. It comes out every so often. And I think
do you remember that? Do you remember meeting Charlie when you were 12 years old?
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember that exact conversation, but what was I, 12? So maybe going back 10 years, I should remember it really. But no, I remember being at Forest, and Forest was a great upbringing for me. We had the likes of Charles and Paul Hart and John Pemberton and Chris Bearclough and Nick Marshall and people like that who guided me through and helped me on the journey. So I was at the right place for sure.
Yeah, and there was a wonderful squad and team of young players at that time that, you know, would have loved that team to get into the Prem and to have played
some
in Europe.
Some unbelievable players, young players. I've
players
never come across such a good bunch, like, you know.
Yeah.
Really good players.
Yeah.
Michael Dawson, Jermaine Janis, David Pruitt, Andy Reid. Wow, that's just the name. James. Then the other ones who went on to play hundreds of games in the John Thompsons of this world, forgot about Wes, Premier League winner. Chris Doy played 300-400 games. Even you forget about those ones who went on to make really good living. Out
you do think if that squad could, you know, in fantasy land, if that squad could have kept together for 2 or 3 years, then you'd have been in Europe.
Well, you'll have been in the Premier League, certainly.
Premier League for sure.
They had to sell players because of the financial state of the club at the time.
Yeah. Fantastic. Right.
That's the love-in finish now. Back to Grumpy Charlie.
Yeah, I know.
That's it.
Right. Okay, we'll do that. We're going to move on to Forest women now, and the Reds extended their lead at the top of the National League Premier. It's the third tier to 2 points with an away win over Burnley. Forest are still undefeated across all their league matches and also got a game in hand over Wolves in second place too, with 5 games left to play. They took the lead through Sophie Domingo before Freya Thomas headed home a Charlie Wellings cross, and this one secured the 3 points for the Reds to keep them at the top of the table. So going well right across the club with Forest women. To me, it's nailed on for promotion when you're looking at the games. Although it is Derby County this weekend, so I suppose the local derby could mean anything. And also they've got a cup final coming up in a week's time. So it's buzzing for Forest women as well.
It's buzzing for Forest women, and they've went full time, so it's made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. You have to speculate to accumulate, and they're doing the business. But I was a wee bit dismayed to hear that the Women's Super League were trying to do a closed shop and no relegation.
Yeah,
I was dismayed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've read it right.
Well, no relegation, but still promotion, I think, to expand the league.
Well, I don't mind that.
So I suppose for a start, I mean, I don't like the thought that there's no relegation at all. But I think as long as there's promotion, I think that's fine. So, but that was two steps away for Forest. But hopefully, by the time Forest get promoted next season, they will have an opportunity to get promoted to the Super League. Right, after the break, we'll talk all about whether Mansfield's winless run and their defeat to Exeter this week puts them squarely in a relegation battle. That's according to first team head coach Andy Garner, whose explosive thoughts are coming up next. Hello and welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined by Charlie McParland and the former Forest and Stags defender James Perch. And we're moving to Mansfield Town now in League One. They are winless now for more than 2 months after their loss at Exeter this week. The Stags have begun to pick up some form and managed to draw 3 in a row, but failed to defeat thanks to goals from Dimitri Mitchell and Angus MacDonald. Mansfield failed to register a single shot on target. And speaking after the match, a brutally honest first team coach Andy Garner said it was a disgraceful performance from the players.
I'm embarrassed to go to the Sports tonight, but I wanted to go and clap them for their efforts of coming down here, but really embarrassed really to stand in front of them and clap them. I think it's probably the worst 15 minutes I've seen. in the Mansfield. Well, I have been here at this club, without a shadow of a doubt. No energy, nothing. No play, giving balls away needlessly. Just miles off it, absolutely miles off it. And we're in a relegation battle, and I didn't see many players out there today. I really didn't roll the sleeves up and give everything that you've got.
Many interviews like that after the match. Nigel Clough handing it to Andy Garner. Presumably Nigel was fuming. Amateur, disgraceful, non-league, embarrassment. He said only 2 out of the 11 players performed. When you heard some of it there, it's tearing into them.
Yeah, he fully went into him there. I watched the first 15 minutes that Garner said was a disgrace, and it was about 15. People giving the ball away cheaply. The goal, it was just poor from the start, and I think Garner went on to say that they didn't see that kind of performance coming. But they haven't been great in the last couple of months. They haven't won, so confidence is low. It's a long way to go down to Exeter and all that stuff, but it's no excuse not to put the effort in.
What would that journey? I mean, it's 5 hours on the coach, so you're leaving the ground at 10:30, knowing that you're getting back to Mansfield at 3:30, and then presumably you've got to drive to wherever you live.
Yeah.
At the end of that, so you're not getting back until 4 or 5 in the morning. That must be tough.
And then you've got the adrenaline that's probably still running through your body, so
Yeah.
you're struggling to get to sleep anyway. So
Yeah.
today the lads will be a write-off in terms of energy-wise, but yeah, it's a long way, it's a long bus journey. But like I said before, it's not an excuse not to roll your sleeves up, like Gordon said.
Yeah.
It's a bad enough journey when you've won the football match
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah,
you know, you're still elated because there's nothing like winning a football match. But when you've lost a football match and you've put up a bad performance, and players, they'll know themselves that they've not performed. You know, James will tell you he was a player, I was a player. And you know individually and collectively when you've been absolutely not good enough. And you know that yourself, so you're thinking about that. You've lost the game. You're on a bad run, but the players have to find a way as well. You know, the players, you can't just be on the manager and the coach. The players have to find that character as well.
Well, I guess there are two views, and we've got someone who's been closer to playing recently and someone who's been closer to managing recently. He's come out and he's called them out. He's basically said 2 of 11 played anything like. And he's pretty much also said, like, what do we do as a management team? We do everything, and once again they've let us down. It's pretty much, paraphrasing what he said in his interview. From a manager's view, from a player's view, what do you make when you hear that?
Well, if I was a player and I had some poor performances, don't worry about that. We've all had them, like we've been really bang average. The next game, my mentality is, if the manager's picking me on Saturday, I have to do better. I have to go for yourself.
Yeah.
For yourself. So if you're doing it for yourself and you're playing well, you're doing it for the manager and you're doing it for the fans. You can't go and bury your head in the sand. You have to say, I get paid to play football. Yes, you're a human being. You'll have bad days, but you have to bounce back in it, and you have to go. The next game, you have to put a performance in.
Well, let's skip down a generation, James.
Okay,
you just
don't rub it in.
No.
Don't rub it in.
I get it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
no. What I'm saying is, I think that is a view that probably people of our age would have, and that's how we take it. I wonder, like, if you're skipping down a generation, how do you feel if a coach or manager calls you out like that?
I feel if the coach calls you out like he has done there, then the player should know himself that he's had a bad game. I don't need the manager to tell me that I've had a bad game. I know. So I want to put it right the following game. And the games couldn't come quick enough when you've had a bad game. You want to play tomorrow to put it right. So they've got a game on Saturday to go and put it right. And I think the players will have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, Tuesday night wasn't good enough. And like Gordon said, we're in a relegation battle and we need to all pull together and put a performance in and get a win.
I suppose it's not just Tuesday night, though, is it? And that's the issue,
thing,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's going back 14 games since there was a win, and there's been some indifferent performances, and some games that they ought to have got over the line. Blackpool, Burton, for example.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You've tried
Wigan.
everything.
Wigan.
You've played players in different positions. You've played Aidan Flint up front. You've switched your backs. You've changed your formation. What are you looking for? What are you going for this weekend when you're playing one of the better teams in League One at Barnsley at home? What sort of team are you looking for? What sort of performance are you looking for?
First of all, you're looking for them to stand up and be counted. You're looking for them to run harder than the opposition. And you're looking for a big slice of luck. Because in football, things can change very quickly.
Yeah, but they've had, Bailey Cargill could have got sent off at the weekends. They sort of had some luck go their way. I'm not really, I know what you're saying, but for 14 games, I mean, one or two, 14 games.
It's down to bad luck. No, I'm not saying it's down to bad luck.
Are you picking a team based on character, I suppose, is what I'm asking you? Are you looking around that squad and thinking, right, who of my squad here are going to stand up and produce a performance, or are you going to stick with your formation you tried and trusted?
It's like any dressing room. It doesn't matter what dressing room you go into, even if you're a player. And James will tell you, if you're sitting next to this player and you go, I can put my life on him on Saturday. I can rely on him. Or you might be sitting next to somebody and you might go, I'm not so sure. So again, yes, these are times to stand up and be counted, like I says, and that's what that. And players, you have to pay back the manager and the coaches as well, And it's a collective thing. And for me, and it's selfish.
Yeah.
Always, I went out to play for myself first of all, to be the best player on that pitch.
Yeah.
And I knew if I'm being selfish and I'm playing the best I can within the shape of the team, and I'm playing well for myself, I'm also playing well for the manager, and I'm also playing well for the supporters, and I'll be in the team next game week.
So what sort of team are you thinking about then, James? What would you look for?
I'd look for the lads who, I think Nigel will see it this week. He'll see in training the lads who are going to fight for him on Saturday. They're not a young side, so it's not as if they're literally youngsters. They're an experienced side. I think one of the oldest in the league. So it's not experience they're lacking. It's just maybe that little bit of grit, that little bit of desire that's been knocked out of them over the last 14 games. So I think the manager in the next couple of days training will look at players in the eye and say, right, I can back you because you've shown me in training what it's all about, what you're going to do. And that's what I think. Just run hard, work hard. Like Charlie said, the luck will come. You need a big slice of luck.
The major thing is they can't get a goal to save a win.
Exactly.
That is the thing at the minute. They just need a hit off somebody's leg and score a goal.
Well, let's bring the table up and let's try and find some positives. I mean, the positives of the table is that Burton are the team that are chasing them down. Burton are in the relegation position, so it's still 8 points.
It's 8 points. So it's still in the driving seat.
Yeah.
That can change quickly, but a result on Saturday, and all ifs and buts, if Burton get beat on Saturday, it's 11 points.
Yeah.
Right?
So again, they're playing Shrewsbury though, bottom team.
But you have to rely on other results at times. But again, take care of your results.
Yeah.
Again,
What do you make? 3 wins?
3 wins, 50 points.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it, yeah.
50 points, yeah. 4 wins, certainty.
And strangely, if they do survive, that's a successful season in many ways because that was the aim at the start of the season. It's just this run that really has coloured it.
I know, it has been a bad run. These things happen, and it's not good. But all season, I have says to you, this is going to be a tough old season. Yeah. And I never got carried away. Yeah. I say staying in the league is the thing. If you look at the teams in this league, staying in the league, and football's a funny thing. If they had the bad run at the start of the season, right, then had the good run now, I know it's much the same, but things change.
Yeah. And these are the fixtures coming
it's how
up.
you finish.
Burton Orient, Bristol Rovers, Charlton, Huddersfield. It's probably the hardest one at home this weekend. Barnsley. I think it's Burton. Barnsley.
Tough.
I mean, there's an example, isn't there? Davies Keeler-Dunn moved from Stags to Barnsley. What's he scored? 14, 15 goals this season. Those 15 goals for the Stags, then it's safety, isn't it?
He's a good player, Dave. Whether it was a mistake letting him go or whether they couldn't keep hold of it, it's one of them.
I think the situation, I think they tried everything in their powers to keep him, and I think they You know, they try to give him a fantastic contract, but I think the lad wanted to move on. If you take his 15 goals at Barnsley and you put them in Mansfield, they're not in that.
And losing him on deadline day so late in the window while they're trying to keep hold of him, I think that's had a big effect on.
Big effect.
Yes,
Listen, goal scorers like him and how he plays that number 10 position, and it suits him to the T. Very clever player, picking the ball up in pockets, makes runs into the box, scores goals. It's a massive. These players are very difficult to get your hands on.
Yeah. So, Barnsley at home this weekend. I mean, you want to do one over Davis Killer, don't want you after you left. But anyway, we're going to talk about that.
Just get 3 points.
Yeah, I'll ask you your opinions later on. That's all for Mansfield Town. After the break, we'll be talking Notts County and how a big win against Grimsby kept their automatic promotion hopes alive following 2 disappointing defeats before it. That and a look ahead to the weekend games coming up next. Welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined by Charlie McParland and the former Forest and Stags defender James Perch. Into League Two now, and Notts County, who have bounced back from successive defeats to see off Grimsby. It was a game of mixed fortunes for Notts, who saw goalkeeper Alex Bass go off injured 10 minutes into the match. They then had to wait until 11 minutes into the second half for forward Alexander Jatta to break the deadlock following a goal line scramble. And then David McGoldrick returned from injury off the bench to put away a fine solo goal 2 minutes from the end. Afterwards, head coach Stuart Maynard was full of praise for his players and the travelling fans.
We have a group of players in there, and men they showed today, that they always come again. They give absolutely everything for the football club. But tonight, I thought our fans were absolutely incredible. And I know it's easy standing that, but they were from minute 1 all the way to the 95th minute. They didn't stop singing. After our performance on Saturday, you can worry whether the numbers will turn up, but they've turned up in their numbers once again, and they've got behind us, and we need this now all the way to the end of the season. At home, we've got to make sure that Meadow Lane's rocking for 95 minutes, and you've got a group of players that every time we put them out on the pitch, they do give everything. Sometimes they will come up short, and there's no doubt about that, and they know it, and when they do, they take it on the chin, and they know that they've got to come back and respond.
Well, I didn't see that one coming, I have to say, with counties in different form, and Grimsby's pretty decent form recently, but it's a win that, again, this division is such a tough one to call.
Yeah, it is. It's not, I keep saying it, it's not, I've not seen any teams, when I've watched all the games, that I've went, wow, they're a real good side, and they're going to run away with it. Walsall lost their 2 loan players, and that's Kildame, and they've lost a few games. But Notts, I think I've got a squad that should be promoted automatically. And last night, no coincidence, David McGoldrick comes onto the pitch for 10 minutes, gets the ball, drops his shoulder and rifles it in the corner. Yeah. That lad has got more ability in his big toe than probably all the players in the team, no disrespect to him, have got in their whole body. What a talisman he is, and I think he's got 14 goals this season. Yeah. Jatta's got 17 league goals. I think David's got about 14, and he's missed a lot of games. But when David McGoldrick's on the pitch, Notts County will win more games than they'll lose. And if you're a manager with David on that pitch, you're thinking, I've got a chance today.
Yeah, you get him playing as much as you can for the last 10 games. And what I like about David, he's been here a few times on the programme. Such a quiet, mild-mannered guy. And then out on the pitch there, like his reaction to his goal last night, it was banging his chest, and he was really giving it some to the fans. He absolutely loved it, and he's full of passion for Notts County.
Yeah, he loves Notts County. He loves playing football. I think when you see him on the pitch, he always plays with like a smile on his face. And he was great when I played with him when he was a bit younger, wasn't he? But yeah, he was in the mid-20s, early 20s, and you could see he had that natural ability to do what he's doing now. And the fact that he's doing it for Notts County and hoping to get them into League One is great. And it's good to see, because I still keep in touch with Didsy, and it's good when you see your old teammates doing well.
I love watching him play. I love when he just drops into these positions, half spaces I call them, and like he picks up the ball on the half turn and he just starts playing.
So how are you going to manage him then through the final part of the season? You know, considering his age and his injuries this season.
Yeah, listen, you wouldn't have him training too much because like all you need to do when they're doing the opposition on the Friday or the Thursday, you just David McGoldrick's one of those players. You just say, "This is what I want you to do, David," and he'll go and do it because he's a very clever footballer, and he's been doing it for years. You know, he's not one of them who you have to have him on the training ground all the time and keep him at it. He has to just be like, just get him through it, a few little passing drills, just keep him ticking over, and try and get him on the pitch at the start of the game, and try and get a couple of goals up, then whip him off, and get him ready for the next game.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the table and let's see what we think of where Notts County are at when it comes to automatic promotion. There we are. It's still, despite the indifferent form, they're just a point behind Doncaster. Doncaster actually played 36, not 38 games. So just a point away. Wimbledon lost last night. Vale lost last night. County in a decent position with a good goal difference there. It's going to go down to the wire, it feels to me, with the games coming up. How are you reading that one?
Oh, it's very tight, like you said. I didn't expect Bradford to be right up there, doing as well as they're doing. I probably expected Notts County to be in that position come the start of the season. But yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to go down to the wire. It's just who can hold the nerve the most going into the last 10 games of the season.
And can they keep Didsey on the pitch? Can Jody Jones make his return? Another injury blow last night. Alex Bass, who I think has been one of the players of the season, goalkeeper, going off after 10 minutes, rolled his ankle. And you guys would know more than me what a rolled ankle means in terms of goalkeeper.
Well,
2 or 3 weeks, bit
well,
more.
it depends how bad it is. If it's a real baddie, it could be end of the season.
Yeah.
Or it could be a month. But Sam Slocum,
Solid pro,
he's
played
solid.
well last night.
He's solid pro. You know, to be like, they're not replacing him with a sort of, you know, untested goalkeeper. He's tried and tested, Sam Slocum, and he's a decent goalkeeper. So that's cool. But again, I think they're nailed on for automatic. I do.
Nailed on?
Yes, I honestly do. I look at the teams in the league and I look at the Notts County players and I look at the other players that the other squads have got, and I think, be it third, second, whatever, I think they should be getting promoted.
Well, yeah, I think they should. I'd say blue tacked on the way they've been playing this season, because I'm not convinced that they're going to.
But you're the eternal like pessimist. You know,
No,
honestly,
they ought to.
Yeah.
If they can produce games like last night. If we look at the games that are coming up, I mean, it's a big one this weekend. It's Chesterfield, which will be a fantastic atmosphere at Meadow Lane. Chesterfield scored 4 goals midweek, you know.
Yeah, against Salford last night.
Yeah, Colchester down in the next 5 games as well, with the Crowley brothers. They're sneaking up there as well. So I'm finding it difficult to call. It's an inconsistent division, which is probably why it's League Two. There's not the sort of Stockports and Mansfield and Wrexhams there has been previous seasons. So it is a big opportunity. But you're looking now for Notts County to put together a little bit of a run, aren't you?
Yes.
That's what you need. Just 2 or 3 games without a defeat.
And it's the end of the season, isn't it? This is where you.
Business end. Chesterfield are up and down. Yeah, they got a great result last, but they've not been setting the heather on fire.
Yeah.
But Paul Cook, he'll have them at it, like. But I think if Notts are at the top of their game, they win the football match.
Just before we finish in Notts County, it's the funeral this week of Mick Walker,
yes,
who had a big part in Notts County, bringing on young players, managing the team. A lot of people in Nottingham would know him because he was a teacher and very much involved in schools football as well. So just say a few words about Mick.
Mick Walker, I came to the club in 1980 as a young professional at 19. I signed, and Mick Walker was a reserve team coach. Howard Wilkinson was first team coach, and Jimmy Cyril was the manager. And there was a great threesome there. Mick Walker was a fantastic coach, good person, really helped me and a lot of other young players a lot. Good coach, kept it simple, produced loads of players. Tommy Johnsons, Mark Drapers, Dean Yates, Darren Davis, Paul Smalley, Fairclough, loads of players just coming off, going on to play hundreds of league games. The Tommy Johnsons and the Drapers and the Yateses going for big money. Very, very good, and really sad, Mick's passed away. In the last few years I've been going to see him. His wife has been bringing him down to Nottingham, and me and McCulloch and Mick Lennon would pop over and have a chat with him. Unfortunately, he had a wee bit of dementia, and he had cancer in the end. But done great as a manager in the Championship, or it was League Two then. But it was a great servant to Notts County and football.
And a lovely man too.
And
you
a
just
lovely
have to
man,
look at
yes.
the tributes that have come in
Fantastic.
from the club and from those who came across him at school. Yeah. It's perfect. So all the best to Mick's family this weekend. Right, time now for your predictions. This weekend we've got Forest away at Ipswich, Mansfield at home to Barnsley, Notts at home to Chesterfield, starting off with Forest away at Ipswich Town, one of your old clubs.
Yes, I'm a wee bit worried about this one, but I have to go for Nottingham Forest. Come on, Forest. Yep. Not complacent. Get down there, get the job done.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm saying I think Nuno will get them going. He won't let them get complacent, and I think I'm going for a 2-1 win.
Yeah, great opportunity there. Notts County then. We'll go to Notts County next. At home to Chesterfield, the local derby, 3 o'clock on Saturday.
What a fantastic game to play, and there'll be about 15,000 there probably for a League Two match. Paul Cook, he gets his teams fired up, he gets himself fired up, he gets his big red head on the touchline shouting and screaming. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 Notts County.
Yeah, I enjoyed the game at Chesterfield earlier this season, so you expect a fiery one.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same. I fancy Notts County now with the run of fixtures that they've got. I fancy them to pick up a good few wins out of those next 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I think McGoldrick and the win this week at Grimsby make a big difference there. How about Mansfield at Barnsley? 14 games without a win.
Well, I'm going to go for a draw. I'll take a point all day. Again, can they put a performance in like they've had previous performance the last few games apart from last night? Yeah. And can we get a bit of luck and it hits off of somebody, or somebody grabs it by the scruff of the neck and goes and scores a winner? Okay. I'll take a draw.
James?
Yeah, I think after last night's performance, I think they'll be happy to take a draw. I think Nigel will be looking to stop that rot once again and get a draw on Saturday and then kick on from there, hopefully.
Just want a big reaction. Thank you, James. Great to have you back in the studio. Thank you,
you,
Charlie. Improvement every week with your injury. And thank you for watching too. That's it for this week. We're back at the same time next week, and we hope to see you then. Bye-bye.